All right, welcome into the Rocky Top Insider postgame show. Jack Foster, Rick Butler here on the field of the Orange Bowl and Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Tennessee gets a 31-14 victory over Clemson. Jack, you and I talked about this game a lot over the last 2 days, right? We did podcasts, we did pre-games, we did a whole lot of things. I don't think I expected it to go this way. What about you?
No, our predictions could have been really farther from the truth.
No,
right?
But that's all right. Who's talking about it?
Right, exactly. And Clemson moved the ball well. That's the thing is you look at the stat sheet and you're like, okay, Tennessee won big, but really Clemson had over 100 plays. They had a lot. They outgained Tennessee. They had a lot of offensive success. But the thing is what you actually pointed out before the game was that bend but don't break defense.
Yeah.
And that was the story, especially the first half, arguably the biggest story of the game. I mean, 7 possessions in Tennessee territory that went into Tennessee territory in the first half, 6 of them in scoring position. They only came away with 3 points.
It really was incredible to see. Again, there were plenty of times throughout the first half, and we'll get into the second half in a minute, but really that first half set the tone for the rest of the game. You're right. There were plenty of times where Clemson got down to Tennessee's side of the field into Tennessee territory, man. They were in field goal range. A couple of those were far. Clemson did start the game with a fake field goal that did not go anywhere, but you're right. I think this was the epitome of a bend but don't break defensive game for Tennessee. We've seen that from the Volunteer defense throughout the season, but it's really only right that it culminates in this kind of moment to end the season. The defense has been talked about all season long. Byron Young said after the game, he said, hey, look, we hear everything that's said about the defense. When Tennessee wins, people talk about the defense afterwards, and not so good of a way. When Tennessee loses, they obviously point to the defense. Byron Young said this was the statement that we knew we could make, that we were always going to make, and I think they absolutely made a statement here today.
That's very interesting. Yes, they did. They made a statement. And Cade Klubnik, the guy who had a lot of success against North Carolina, he was not the best tonight, and that is because of Tennessee's pressure.
Sure.
If you get hit that many times in the first half, and you're just, Cade Klubnik was a runner. He was not shying away from hits.
No.
And I think that hurt him in the long run as far as his ability to really be patient and make throws. If you noticed in the second half, Clemson shifted their offense to running the ball a lot more. It took away the potential of Clemson's offense to put up points. I don't know why they started to run the football more down points like they were, but it worked out for Tennessee, and they were able to keep that lead and even extend it there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it really did. All right, so let's talk about the quarterback, Joe Milton, for a minute. Man, what a game from Joe Milton. I don't have the stats like we normally would right now, but
250 yards, 3 touchdowns, so good night.
A great game.
Yeah.
There were moments where you knew that maybe the decision-making wasn't in the right direction. There were obviously a couple of slip-ups. We talked to Joey Halsey after the game, and he said, hey, look, you're never going to have a perfect game, but the way that he continued to fight throughout the game, that was one of the things that Joey Halsey pointed to and just said, that's the Joe Milton we knew, right? We knew he was going to come into this game and be prepared. We knew that he was going to be on the same page as some of these receivers. We certainly saw with Squirrel White, right? Josh Heupel talked about leading into this game that there were going to be opportunities for new players. Felt like Squirrel White was certainly one of the players that made the most out of that opportunity, but frankly, I did feel like Joe Milton was one as well. Yes, again, there were a little bit of trouble throughout the game, and that's always going to be there. And hey, it's only his second start of the season, but I came away quite impressed with what Joe Milton was able to do, leading this Tennessee team to 31 points.
Yeah, the touchdown to Brew was great. The touchdown to Squirrel was great.
He was hitting over the middle real well.
And that too, and the touch pass to Ramel Keaton, one of the final touchdowns there. Really, I can only think of 2 glaring mistakes I saw from Joe Milton tonight, and both were on third down plays. He threw a pass too low to Ramel Keaton, and then he should have ran later in the game for what could have been a first down conversion. But we're talking little details here. It was nothing that was going to change the game in a major way, and there was not those head-scratching overthrows that we have grown so accustomed to seeing from Joe Milton. To me, that's the biggest thing. He showed tonight, like I said, he needed to show that he can lead this team moving forward going into next year.
This is going to be an electric offseason, I think, for Tennessee football, and it could have gone either direction from this game. If Tennessee was on the opposite end of a 31-14 game, and maybe some of those things that you're talking about did happen, maybe Joe Milton had a bunch of overthrows, something like that, that would have left a bad taste in people's mouths heading into the offseason. But I think once again, Tennessee is going to be heading into the next stretch of months, whether it's spring football, whether it's summer football, and then eventually to fall camp, man. I do think that Joe Milton is going to be in the lead for that quarterback competition, and what he showed me tonight, I was impressed. I feel like I can see the overall growth that he's had. Man, this is an experienced guy. This is a guy that doesn't back down from any fear. Again, there's certainly there's tape to go back and watch. There's a lot of things. I may be remembering some things wrong, but I was impressed with Joe Milton's performance.
No, there's no other word. He was impressive tonight. I don't think you can deny it's his best game in a Tennessee uniform.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, he won Orange Bowl MVP.
There you go.
And there were other good candidates on Tennessee's defense, such as Aaron Beasley and Byron Young.
Yeah.
So Joe Milton was the one to win that award. And you mentioned statements. Byron Young saying that quote about defense making a statement. Well, Joe Milton had his own in the post-game press conference. He said, you know, once we saw we were going to Miami, this is my home state. It was all about Tennessee making a statement, and it was about me making a statement. He had talked with Hendon Hooker about this too. So Joe Milton had that on his mind. Tennessee had it on their minds, and they come out and did it.
That's fascinating. Man, any other kind of final thoughts to wrap up this 2022 Orange Bowl? What a wild game.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we said, the X factor was the quarterbacks, and Joe Milton was the better guy tonight, and look who won. So I think that's a telling sign to what Tennessee was able to do tonight. And by the way, great stat that Ryan Shumpert pointed out on Twitter.
Our guy.
Of course, our guy Ryan, earlier tonight. Tennessee beat the 2018 national champions, the 2019 national champions, the 2020 national champions, all in the same season.
That's pretty remarkable.
And
that is pretty
Clemson,
remarkable.
LSU, and Alabama.
That is unbelievable to think about.
Crazy stat.
No doubt about it. Hey, that is going to wrap it up for us right here on the field for our Orange Bowl coverage. Be sure to be checking out RockyTopInsider.com all throughout the week, I don't even know what day it is right now. It is
Saturday, I believe.
It's now Saturday. Okay, so stick with the Rocky Top Insider throughout the weekend. We're going to have tons and tons of coverage, whether it's videos on YouTube, whether it is pictures and videos on Twitter or Instagram, or make sure you're just going and checking out RockyTopInsider.com, where we're going to have a lot of great content. Hey, this is going to be your place to get all of the Tennessee football news, notes, and coverage right there at Rocky Top Insider. It's been a fantastic week here in Miami for the Orange Bowl. We have been blessed to be a part of it. That's going to wrap it up for us. For Jack Foster, I'm Rick Butler. You've been watching the Rocky Top Insider post-game show live from Miami, Florida in the Orange Bowl. Tennessee wins by a score of 31-14 over number 7 Clemson. We'll see you back for the next one.